Supply and Marketing Cooperative, Mr. Xiao Changxi, and the Deputy Director of Department of Agriculture and Rural Affairs, and Deputy Director of Hubei CDC, Mr. Li Yang. First, let's give the floor to Mr. Li Yang for the latest epidemic update in Hubei province. As of March the 21st, cumulative confirmed cases in Hubei province reported 67,800, 50,005 cases in Wuhan city, accounting for 74% of Hubei province, 17,795 in other cities, accounting for 26%. On March the 21st, there is no new confirmed cases reported in Hubei province, and there's no imported cases in Hubei province. It has been 4 consecutive days that we realized 0 new confirmed cases in Hubei province, except of Wuhan city. For other cities in Hubei province, we have realized 0 confirmed cases for 17 days. As of March the 21st, we have 5,013 patients are hospitalized, 1,419 in severe conditions, 393 in critical conditions. As of March the 21st, total deaths stand at 3,144 on March the 21st. 5 new deaths reported in Hubei province, 4 in Wuhan city and 1 in Ezhou city. As of March the 21st, total discharge cases stand at 59,432 on March the 21st. New discharge cases stand at 490, 463 in Wuhan city, accounting for 94% of the province. That is my update. Thank you. Now, I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Xiao Fuqing to brief us on the epidemic prevention and control and the spring farming in rural areas of Hubei province. Thank you. Friends from the media, good afternoon. First of all, by taking this opportunity, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to your long-term support to 3 rural issues. Now I would like to brief you on the situation of the epidemic prevention and control and spring farming in Hubei province. First, for the epidemic prevention and control in rural areas of Hubei province, as of now, the situation of epidemic prevention and control in rural areas remained sound. The provincial government has attached great importance to the epidemic prevention and control of rural areas and take coordinative actions to curb the spread. And all of these actions have made contribution to the epidemic prevention and control in the rural areas. First, we focus on a strong leadership, and we clarify the responsibilities and duties at all parties. And for each regions, they have established a steering group to guide the prevention and control work. We focus on the urban areas. At the same time, we also attach equal emphasis to the rural areas. And also, we have a regional task force for different cities and regions. And also, we are setting up a pairing up mechanism so as to form a tier-based control mechanism. Second, we focus on close-off management of the villages so as to curb the spread of the virus. We have attached great importance to the close-off management so as to make sure that the virus will not be spread into the villages and the rural areas. We also issue documents to strengthen the close-off management. We have taken 4 aspects of work for the prevention and control.
2.13万个村做到了应风尽风。
So for over 130,000 villages in the Hubei province, we have ensured a thorough close of management to those regions. And also we are focusing on the treatment and give full play to the leadership of county and village steering group. We mobilize party members, police officers, security guards to enter into the villages and check the body temperature of the residents. And we have ensured that 4 types of people can be managed in a collective way. Fourth, we focus on the supplies of the daily necessities so that we can meet the needs of our residents. We also strengthen education, and also we are formulating guidelines so as to ensure that the villages will not gather, and we also suspend all the entertainment for the villages. And we are also setting up a special task force to ensure the supplies of daily necessities to rural residents. In general, the livelihood is guaranteed for all the rural residents. Now I would like to brief you on the spring farming in Hubei province. In general, we are resuming the spring farming in an orderly manner. During the epidemic, General Secretary Xi Jinping attached great importance to the spring farming and the spring plowing. He emphasized that even though Hubei is hardly hit by the epidemic, but it has to resume its agricultural production in an orderly manner, followed by the important guidance made by General Secretary Xi Jinping. The provincial government have focused on the epidemic prevention and control as well as the spring plowing. First, we unified our thoughts and actions. We organized video conference and made instructions arrangements to the spring farming. Also, we are setting up a dedicated web page and coverage to educate the rural residents on the important guidance made by General Secretary Xi Jinping and also the arrangements from the provincial government, so that we can unite our thoughts under the important deployment made by CPC Central Committee. And second, we mobilize all available resources to promote the spring plowing. Also, we are adjusting the areas of cultivated lands, and also we are adjusting the rice transplantation areas, and also we are strengthening our efforts in allocating pesticides and herbicides. In general, we have adequate agricultural reserve with stable price. Third, we will strengthen the technical guidance to better manage the spring farming. We have issued several documents to guide the farming activities. We're also working with television and radio stations
空中课堂等节
So
目
we
栏目，
publish online classes.
录制30期大型电视专题节目，开
We
展
have
89
recorded
期
30
网络直播课
programs for spring
发布
plowing
645条
and also
农业
published
科技短视频，
645 short videos
开展春耕
so that we could guide all localities on the spring farming and
全
plowing.
省1625万亩小麦，1549万亩油菜，长势较
As of now, we have seen a very good spring production for the early season rice, as well as the wheat and grapes.
杂食有序
And
地
all
开
of
展
the。work has been implemented in an orderly
四
manner.
是加强工
Fourth,
作督导，推动
we
责任
strengthen
落
our
实，
supervision
斗
to
争
make
指
sure
导
that
各
all the
地
measures
农
can
业
be
民生部门，
implemented.
协调当地指挥部，渠
We
谈
coordinated with steering group and task force
相关政策
at
措施，
different levels, and also we launched
下发
different
做好
policies to
春管
facilitate
春
the
耕
spring
内耕
farming.
工作的紧急提示，
So
推
we
进
are
地方
issuing
落实粮
emergent
食安全
notification on the
行政
spring
首长
plowing,
负责制和菜篮子市
and
长负
also
责制。
establish different
同时，
mechanisms to ensure that we can provide
16个
sufficient daily necessities for the rural
专项
residents.
督导，
And also we are
统筹推
conducted
进
field
疫情
trips
防控和
so
经
as
济
that
农业
so
生
as
产。
to
俗话说啊，
provide better guidance
充分麦
for
起
the
身。
epidemic prevention and control,
Change.
as well as the spring farming.
我们将
As
继
we
续
all
贯
say
彻
that
落
the
实
farming season
习近
waits
平
for no
总书记
man, and our year's plan
关于
starts with the
统
spring.
筹疫情防
We
控
will continue
和
to
经济农业生
implement the
产的
important guidance
系
made
列
by
重
General
要
Secretary Xi
指
Jinping
示，稀
on
释精神，
spring farming and
不
plowing,
马屁，不厌
and we
诈，
will stay
不
sober
生进，
and
不
say
侥
no
幸，
to
以
passiveness,
鼓作
and
气，
will not
打
take
赢
chances
疫
and
情防
continue
控的
to make
湖北保
relentless
卫战，
efforts
武
to
汉保
win the
卫战，
battle against COVID-19 in Hubei
勇
province.
担当，善作为，
We will shoulder
一刻不误地
responsibilities
抓好春季农业生产，
and spare no efforts
为决战决胜疫情
to
防
devote
控
ourselves
和
in
平
the
攻
spring
坚，
plowing and
一
farming
起实现
so
全
that
面小
we
康
could
社会的目
make
标。
contribution in winning the battle against poverty alleviation and complete the building of a moderately prosperous society. Thank you.
各位通报一下
Now is the Q&A session. Please identify yourself before you raise the question.
你好，中央广播电视总台央视记者提问。
With
请问今
CCTV,
年全省的春耕农资供应形势如何？前期我们做
my
了哪些
question is
准
that
备
can you
工
tell
作？
us more about the situation of the supply of agricultural materials?
好，
What preparation have we
谢
made?
谢
Thank
这
you.
位记者的提问。
Thank you for your question.
今年全省农资供应的形势呢，可从产
For the supply of the agricultural
下
materials,
来做个
I would like to explain in
一
three
是
areas.
从产的形势看，
The first aspect is for supply of the agricultural materials.
开工了
Because of the epidemic,
晚一个多
for
月。
the fertilizer companies, they resumed their business 1 month later than previous.
各
As we
地
could see, the situation is getting better,
正在加
and
快
some of the
复工复产，
companies started to resume their work,
将
and the
建议
capacity of
得到
fertilizers
释放。
will continue to improve.
从供的形势看呢，目前市场的
For
储备
production and
和供应
supply, as of
基本是
now,
稳定的。
we have adequate reserve of
从
the
价的形势
agricultural
看，
materials.
我们
In
监
terms
测
of price,
主要的农资的品种的价格保
we
持了
monitor the price for key categories of the
所以
agricultural
整体来说
materials. In general, the price is relatively
农
stable.
耕的春耕农资供应的
That
是
is to
基本稳
say,
定，基本
the
上
situation
能够
of
保证
the
市场。
agricultural materials is sound and robust.
面对今年这个特殊的年份，
And this year is an extraordinary year.
系统积极应对，做了以下
The Hubei Supply and Marketing Cooperative have taken several
一个
measures.
是人员的准备，
First,
群省供销系统
we have made a lot of preparation in terms of the human resources. For all the people who are working under the supply and marketing system, they have been working at the front line.
供应的工作的专班，
We have established a special task force to
骨
ensure
干的
agricultural materials.
精干的力量，
We also
统
send
一
out
调度，加强
our
督
best
促检查。
talent. Also, they would supervise and strengthen the work for the
我们用
production
好国家金融
of the agricultural supplies. Also, we are making good use of the foundings,
信贷支持，
and also we are receiving a lot of lending support from the agricultural banks and the
发
cooperatives.
好3个亿的专项贷款，这个资
We
金
have already received a 300 million
三是市场的准备，
special lending
我们组织
from the Agricultural
供销
Development
系统的
Bank.
干部下沉一线，
And also, we organize a group of cadres
农资供
to
应
go down to the
3
communities
个的方面的情况摸清楚。
so that these people can better understand the current situation of this spring plowing and farming.
农资的需求量，用
First of
肥
all, they need to understand the need and
用墨
demand
的结构摸清楚，
from the local village,
供销
and
系
also
统的农
the
资的
amount
扩
of
展情况
fertilizers that need to be used in those areas. Also, we have to understand the inventory situation as well as the distribution
各个
of the
公司
rural
每天的
offices.
销售情况，把它摸清楚。
And also, they have to
形成了
understand the
全省
sales
供销系统
performance
农
of
资
the
供应的
agricultural materials companies,
销存的3个台账。
so that we can establish a ledger to understand the agricultural materials
人
in
民日报
Hubei
记者提
province.
问。
Thank you.
据报道，
With
湖北
People's
除
Daily.
武汉以外的地市已逐步恢复正常的生产生活。
Except for
请问湖
Wuhan,
北省
most
如
of
何指
the
导市州农
cities
村
in
及
Hubei
时巩固
province have
防控
resumed
成
their
果，
business.
规避疫
So,
情反
what
弹
other
风险？
measures has been taken by the Hubei provincial government to ensure that we have an orderly resumption of spring farming and plowing? Thank you.
经过
Thank you for your question.
近2个月的艰苦努力，
With 2 months of
全省
arduous
的
work,
疫情防控持续向好。
the prevention and control
但是随着
is trending positive in Hubei
疫
province.
情形势的明显变化，
However, we do see some
公
changes
副产
in terms of the epidemic prevention and control overseas, and this may also pose
农村疫
challenges
情的形势
for
反
business
复的风险
resumption in rural areas.
是存在的。
We still have a risk of
下一步
relapse
呢，
of the
我们还是
epidemic.
要认真的贯彻落实习近平
Going forward, we
3
will
月
earnestly
10号
implement the important
来完
guidance made by
市场
General Secretary Xi
指
Jinping
导
during his
新
field
冠
trip
肺炎
to
病
Hubei
毒防
province
控工作
on
提
March
出
the
的要求，
10th.
要统筹做好
We
疫
need to
情
take
防控
coordinative efforts in
经济
epidemic
社会发展
prevention and
工作的
control,
讲话的精神和要求，
as well as
毫不
to
放
ensure
松
a
的
sound social and economic development.
农村
We
地
should not
区
slacken
疫情
our
的防控
efforts to focus
还
on
是
the
要
epidemic prevention and
继
control
续
in
做好
rural
以下几
areas.
方面的工作，
We have to focus on the following
是要
areas.
压实
First,
实现的责任。
We have to clarify the
农村疫情
responsibilities.
防控的主战场还是在现实这一级，还
The
是靠我
key
们
for fighting the epidemic in rural
县乡
areas
这一级去走之。
is to contain the virus
城
in the
市
county
是
and
重点。
village level.
农村是难点，难就难在
And also, we
要把
realize that it is quite difficult to contain the
整个
virus
农村
in rural
的疫
areas.
情防控作为我们当前的头等大事或者重
We
要的
have
工
to
作。
put the epidemic prevention and control in rural areas as our top
手
priority.
头有责，手头
We
担
have
责，
to
手头
ensure that
尽
we
责，
bear the responsibility
防止
to protect our
农村疫情
communities and
形势
villages.
发生反弹。
so that it can ensure that the situation in rural areas remain sound. At the same time, we have to ensure anti-epidemic material supply and also provide support to regional task force and continue to consolidate our achievements that have been made in the past 2 months. This means we have to strengthen our efforts in implement the measures, and also we should stay alert and continue to follow a strict guidance and implementation of all kinds of measures. We have to make relentless efforts and fight to the end so that we can safeguard the defensive line in rural areas. We want to make sure that no one is coming back to the villages with infection of COVID-19. And also, we will take a epidemic prevention and control work by regions, level of risks, by categories, and by time frame. And also, by doing that, we can ensure good operation of the spring farming and the plowing. Third, we will provide more guidance to the local residents, and we need to focus on mass prevention and control. We have to mobilize all the rural residents so that their awareness can be enhanced, they can be participated in the epidemic prevention and control. And also, we need to provide more education and implement a rule-based prevention and control. And we need to provide support and care to people who may be infected with COVID-19. And also, we need to meet the basic living needs for the rural residents. Fourth, we have to show support and care to officials at community levels. We have to attend to their challenges, making sure that these people can be supported by the provincial government. We have to give full play to the CPC branch in rural areas. We need to further mobilize the rural officials to go down to the communities. We need to stay true to the original aspiration and live up to our mission, so that we could make sure that we place equal emphasis on the epidemic prevention and control, as well as the spring plowing and farming. Thank you. Next question. With Agriculture Day, I would like to understand what measures will be taken by the government in mid and low-risk areas for the epidemic prevention and control, as well as the spring farming. In regions with mid and low risk, I think we need to focus on 3 areas. First, we will provide categories-based guidance. For example, for virus-free villages, we need to encourage the farmers to work in fields as soon as possible. For villages with medium risks, we need to resume their work by regions, by level of risks, categories, and time frames. And also, we need to give full play to cooperative and service teams, so that these people will guide other rural residents to resume their work. And second, we need to accelerate our process. For example, We will strengthen the training for people who are operating agricultural machinery and to further allocate agricultural machineries so as to facilitate the spring farming. Third, we will provide technical guidance to the rural residents. We need to consider the actual situation, adjust some of our production plans, for example, adjusted the areas of the cultivated lands, and also we will give full play to the internet to provide education to the rural residents. We have already set up online classes to offer education to rural residents. By doing all of that, we can ensure that we will not miss the farming season so that we could resume our spring farming in a timely manner. Next question, please. With China Daily. So I would like to understand the role of the Hubei Supply and Marketing Cooperative in ensuring supplies. Thank you for your question. For Hubei Supply and Marketing Cooperative, it plays a key role to ensure agricultural supplies. It is one of our key responsibilities to facilitate the spring plowing and farming. To ensure agricultural supplies, we have many advantages for this facilitation. We have many offices set up in different rural areas. And this year, as Hubei province was hit by COVID-19, we do see some challenges. On this special occasion, the Hubei Supply and Marketing Cooperative should play a bigger role. And we should show the greater responsibilities to ensure adequate agricultural supplies. Going forward, on one side, we will focus on the reserve of the agricultural supplies. We will generate the daily report to understand the current situation. As of March the 21st, we have reserved 104 tons of fertilizers in cooperative. And also we have 96 contingency reserve centers across Hubei province. So we could further increase the categories in our reserve. For this year, the reserve for the agricultural supplies is up by 20% year over year. We want to ensure that we have adequate supplies of agricultural materials and the price remains stable. Second, we will focus on production. Hubei province is a key province to produce fertilizers. And for the annual capacity of the fertilizers amounts to 6.7 million tons. And we will guide all kinds of fertilizer factories to resume their business so that we can unleash the potential of the production of fertilizers. Third, for the cooperative in Hubei province, we have received a lot of support from cooperative from other provinces. Not long ago, the China Agriculture Supplies Group have already allocated tons of fertilizers to support Hubei province, including potash fertilizers and phosphate fertilizers. And some other provinces also allocate the fertilizers to Hubei province. And fourth, we focus on the delivery of the agricultural supplies. We have taken an innovative way. We have opened up the online platform and provide door-to-door delivery of the fertilizers and other agricultural supplies. We're adopting a point-to-point and non-contact delivery method so that we can ensure that these agricultural supplies can be delivered to people who are in need. Fourth, we will focus on the quality of the agricultural supplies and the materials. Start from February, the supply and marketing cooperatives have established a mechanism and also formulate a list of key enterprises of agricultural supplies. A few days ago, we also had a conference with 8 key enterprises. We have delivered our commitment to make sure that these companies will not produce substandard supplies. 6, we will focus on the services. For the Hubei Supply and Marketing Cooperative, we will work together with cooperatives at county and village level. We will also extend our office hours. At the same time, we will offer more trainings on agricultural machineries and services in relation to the growing trade and the rice transplanting. We will provide guidance to the rural residents so that these people can receive better services from the cooperative. Thank you.
您好，新闻广播湖北之声记者提问。湖北是禽蛋产量全国第6的养殖大省。媒体注意到呢，近期有养殖户
Hubei is also targeting on the poultry, the eggs, and some of the residents and households also saying that they may face a risk of bird flu in the future. So what measures will be taken by the Hubei province to deal with this situation?
谢谢这位记者朋友。
Thank you for your question.
刚才您提的这有一些问题呢，在前一阶段确实是存在的。
For some of the questions you raised, yes, indeed, we did see this challenge.
养殖大省。
For Hubei province, it is well known for the raise of the
说的
poultries.
这个情况，就是我们湖北省的禽蛋的产量
In Hubei
确实是
province,
居全国第6位。
as for the production of the poultry and eggs, we have ranked number 6 across the
受这
nation.
个疫情的影响，
This year,
家
we were
禽
badly
的
affected by
养
the
殖场
epidemic.
和户存在着一些问题，一都面
There
临
may
了
be some challenges faced with the breeding households and the factories for the poultry and eggs.
活禽
It is difficult for them to hire labor sources and also
鲜
to
蛋的销售，
transport poultry and eggs to outside regions.
也使呢有一些地方鱼苗的
And to certain regions,
和
we also see some challenges in the transportation of the vaccines
对此
that is applicable to the
都
poultries.
重视，
In face of this situation, the
分别
Party Committee has attached great importance to this
有
issue.
操作性的
And also the provincial government has published several documents and policies to resolve these problems. For example, we are supporting a point-to-point
还是拿出一
transportation,
部分资金
and also
支持
the
有
provincial
条件的企
budget
业
has allocated certain
补电费
funds、
补润费、临时的收
to
取
offer some subsidies to some key enterprises.
缓解的作用。
And also they are making some government procurement on the poultry and eggs. And this has been helped to ease the tension in Hubei province. Now we could see the prevention and control work is trending positive, and we have more regions with low risks. I believe all of these challenges have been alleviated. And also we are continuing our efforts for allocating live poultries. As for the stock of fresh eggs, and the sales of the eggs is getting better right now. That is to say, in Hubei province right now, we are getting back to normal in the industry of poultry and eggs. For the Department of Agriculture and Rural Affairs, they also made announcement that for certain regions they are facing risks of the bird flu, and we are taking rapid actions and come up with a series of measures to deal with the risk of potential bird flu. We have made effective deployment. Upon receiving the notification, immediately we had a meeting and released measures to counteract the potential bird flu. Second, we also activate our screening process. We strengthen our supervision and screening of the live poultries. For some of the adjacent cities and provinces, we work together with 47 adjacent cities and start our process to supervise the health condition of the poultries. We strengthen our efforts in disinfection in the poultry breeding sites. And also we are adopting an approach by region level risks and categories so that key enterprises can purchase vaccines and apply it to the poultries. For small and medium-sized breeding business, they would organize a collective vaccine for the poultries. For regions who are not able to receive the vaccines, we will send out a task force to those regions and provide injection service so that we can ensure that we could lower the risks of potential bird flu and make sure that all the poultries can receive vaccines as needed.
最后一个问题呢，就是抓好这个废弃物的这一些处理。
Last, we will focus on the disposal
这个推广肥料化、能源
of
化这两个
hazardous
途径
materials.
来开展畜禽的废弃物的自
We
然
will
环境，
focus on the disposal
实现
of the
畜禽
fertilizers
废弃物的全链条的这种管理。
to ensure that we can handle all of those fertilizers at the
管田利用
upstream.
的继续模式，在鸡粪的囤积上，有序的来推进自然环利用
And
的
also, we will
企业
take
扶产活动，
coordinative efforts
对
to
完
help
全
small and
不能够
medium-sized
转移且
enterprises
又不能
to
够
resume
自
their
行
work.
处理的这一些鸡场的这一些鸡粪等，
For
加强了
some
技
of
术
the
指导。
fertilizers who are not able to be transported, we will provide more support for the transportation.
周围险测一些空地底下呢做好
And we
铺垫
will
和这种
fight
防渗漏的
vacant
工作。
places
再把这个
to make sure that
堆在上面，然后在上面呢再
the
铺上这一
disinfection
些防水的这一些
can be
保
done
防
properly.
止这个粪污的混流和滋生这种细菌，来降
And we
低
have to make
这
sure
种
that
疫情的风险。
no virus coming out from the feces from the poultry. That's my answer. Thank you.
接着提问。
Next
湖北日
question
报记者提问
with
农业
Hubei
农村部
Daily.
研判，2020年草地摊叶蛾呈重发态势，各地区均有集中危害的可能。那随着湖北全省农村春耕生产的稳步推进，防范病虫害的这个压力也会增大。请问
So
我省
in the
将如
future,
何
we may face a
如何统
challenge
筹疫情防控与防范病虫害的工作，相关
for the
工作进展如
insects,
何？谢谢。
pests, as well as the plant diseases. What are some of the measures taken by the provincial government? Thank you.
记者问了一个非常好的问题。
You asked a very good
草地
question.
汤燕舞是原发生于美洲的一种重大病虫害。
You're right. Night moth is one of a key insect pests and will cause potential plant diseases.
去年看起来这个病呢发生的非常的快。
Last year, we could see a rapid spread of the plant diseases,
我们湖北
and it will cover over 30 million mu of cultivated lands. And also for many places in Hubei province, we also found this kind of plant diseases caused by the night moth. So for the central government and localities attach great importance to these plant diseases. So this year we will have a strict monitoring and will focus on the three areas. First, we also found that this year we identified this kind of plant diseases at the earlier stage. And last year we found this kind of plant diseases in May, but now we're just at the mid-March. We already found this kind of plant diseases spreading into many different provinces. And second, we could see this kind of night moth plant disease is covered large areas of cultivated lands. And this year, it will affect more cultivated lands. And third, also realize that if we do not take effective measures, it will affect the production of the crops and rice. So we think we have like these three features for the night moth plant diseases this year. And second, as to what measures we have to take to resolve the problem, we have to focus on three areas. First, we have to clarify our responsibility in secure crop safety. So it has been of our top priority to ensure the safety of the crops. So we have to make sure that this responsibility can be assigned at different levels of leadership. We also have an accountability system to different regions. We have to make sure that the responsibility can be assigned at all levels of the government. Second, we have to implement measures that have been assigned by the State Council. So meaning that all localities have to follow all of these measures to make sure that we can reduce the impact that has been brought by the night moth plant disease. We have to unite our thoughts and actions to contain these plant diseases. Third, we will establish a reporting system. We have to understand the actual situations in Hubei province so that we can provide more detailed plans to counteract the night moth plant disease. So start from last year, we have focused on an early measure and 4 reinforced measures. As I've just said, this is a new kind of plant disease. For all of our experts and farmers, they are not familiar with this kind of plant disease. So we need to offer more education to the rural residents. Second, we have to strengthen our training because it is quite technical in understanding the plant diseases. So we need to offer some education to the farmers so they know how to deal with this kind of plant disease. And last year, we have already organized 2 educational sections, and we also have county-level task force, and pretty soon we will roll out this kind of training online. Second, we will strengthen the monitoring and alarming system. We have in store about 15 alarm systems, and all of these systems will be installed in different regions and villages. For example, these alarm systems will be installed in the areas of crop field. By better monitoring the situation, we could understand the spread of the night moth plant disease. Third, we will strengthen our policy support. For example, financial support and subsidy support. With the help of Department of Agriculture and Rural Affairs, we have already received a 200 million insect pest dedicated fund, so we can use this kind of fund to deal with the night moth plant disease. Fourth, we will strengthen our supplies. As we could see, we can detect this kind of night moth in the cornfields. We are preparing the seedlings for the corns, so we think we will identify the night moth in early or late April. So I think this kind of night moth will hit the cornfield in mid and late April, so we have to prepare relevant pesticide. We have already issued the catalog for the pesticide. Some of these pesticides is quite effective in killing the night moth. And pretty soon we will allocate all of these supplies and pesticides to different regions of Hubei province. And at the same time, we have to maintain our agricultural machineries and farm machineries. So going forward, we have to implement all of those work. Last question.
你好，我是长江云的记者，我想请问一下，这个省指挥部啊，最近下发了关于统筹
For the steering group of Hubei province, we also realized a document released on the spring plowing and farming, which emphasized the importance to resume the work in an orderly manner. So I would like to understand what measures can be taken by the rural workers during their daily work. Thank you for your question. In daily work, for the rural workers, they have to ensure disinfections in their living environment and working environments. And also they have to pay attention to the following 2 areas. And first, for the public and the private toilets, they have to make sure that a thorough disinfection. So we have to ensure that there's no leakage for the toilets. And also we have to make sure that we have to disinfect and sterilize the toilets and ensure a good ventilation. And make sure that you wash your hands before you use the toilet. And also you have to make sure that people are well protected when transporting the feces and handling the feces. And second, we have to strengthen our work in allocating and transporting garbage. We need to assign dedicated personnel to clear all of those garbages on a daily basis. We have to make sure that we separate some of the medical waste from the daily garbage. And also we have to make sure that all the sewage and the wastewater can be discharged to designated areas in the rural areas. And also all of you have to make sure that you protect yourself during the spring farming and the plowing process. First of all, you have to follow the instructions of the local authority to make sure that you avoid clouds in resuming your work. And before you work in the fields, please take a check of your body temperature. And please wear your face masks when you're driving to work, and make sure that fewer people are in the same vehicle. When you're procuring seedlings, so please make an appointment first. It's better that you realize a non-contact delivery of the goods and the seeds. So making sure that when you are making the order, you do have to contact any people. When you're receiving the delivery, you don't have to meet others. And make sure that you have a sufficient spacing between the people. And it's better that you use a internet payment as opposed to cash. And for some of the training, I also suggest this training should be conducted online. Also for agricultural households or business who need to hire rural workers, making sure that their health condition is monitored. So during the interview process, please use remote conversation. So when you are working in a field, you could remove your face mask. However, if a group of people are working in the same field or working in designated areas, so just make sure that you wear the face mask. For some of the agricultural machineries that has been used by many people, making sure that you have disinfection to those machineries. Last, I would like to remind to all of the rural workers, making sure that you wear masks when you go out, and do not form gatherings when you are working in the fields. Do not have conversation with others. Thank you. Thank you all the speakers and the journalists. That's the end of the press conference. Thank you.